Oh my God, I think we're live. We're here. What's happening? Who are you guys?
Very fast comment. Huh?
Who the hell are you guys?
Hello,
Did your
Vesta
friend tell you again?
Hello,
a
live
walking
viewers,
fish.
Vesta Freya, or however the hell you pronounce that.
Freya.
Vesta Freya. Yeah.
Freya. Yeah, we had a cat named Freya.
Freya.
Yeah.
Seen Vesta Freya on like some of Dapper and RJ's videos and stuff like that.
Nice.
What? It's midnight. It's midnight.
Really? Hello, Midnight.
Hey, midnight.
Hello, what are we doing today?
We don't know what the hell we're doing. I am so burnt out. I think I've been online 4 hours today.
Yeah. Wait,
We're
can we
good.
please talk about Ramat's paper for like a little bit?
Oh, fuck
God,
yeah.
yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Who's Ramat?
Mad Head.
Okay. So this is what I was trying to tell you earlier, and y'all got kind of sidetracked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Us sidetracked? Really, Walker?
Well, it wasn't you. It's not your fault, Immutable. It was Speed of Sound, and then he got sidetracked by TD Lane because TD Lane was like, "Oh, this is as bad as him not knowing what N means when you're talking about like a population."
Yeah.
Which it is that bad. Like it's so bad. Okay, scroll down a little bit.
Oh, wrong scroll. Okay, the yellow highlights are mine.
All right.
Okay, what do you want to see?
Keep scrolling until he talks about the mutation rates. There,
Oh, okay.
that page. All right.
Oh,
So look at how he gets his female mutation rate of 0.83. It says mother's age is substantially correlated with father's age. R equals 0.83.
oh man.
I bet you the rest of the paper, that's how he gets his female mutation rate. Like that's the number he uses.
Oh shit!
I mean,
when I look,
That's a good R value, but it's not like that's not high quality.
Like, oh my. Well,
I mean,
no. His R in that case is talking about correlation between the mother's age and the father's age, not the mutation rate.
mutation rate, right?
Yeah, and he uses that as a mutation rate because I'm assuming he doesn't know what R means.
Wait, he uses that as a mutation rate?
Yeah, he uses that as a mutation rate. Read the under the mother's age.
What?
Okay, so I did like a breakdown of this video, and I was sitting there on Reddit, and I was like, okay, my guy, if this fails the peer review of like a first year undergraduate, how the hell do you think it'll pass peer review for people who actually like do this for a living?
No, do you know how I knew? Like when you shared, it was either Speed or you that shared it. Do you know how I knew immediately that it was fake?
Because it's copy and pasted, and it's
No,
like there's like an image. The
no,
banner was
go to
literally
the
just an
top of the-
image.
Go to the top of the page.
Okay.
See how he has the little like the little icon of himself up there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
that
kind of a
never
good giveaway.
shows up in journals.
Oh gee.
Oh my
That
god!
never shows up.
It's pretty amazing that he edited it while we were live today.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And I'm pretty sure like the PLOS biology logo thing, like
yeah.
that's not the correct like
Well,
banner.
that one
they
isn't, but I
use.
think that might be. Let's see. I had PLOS biology up here, some goddamn place. The hell is it?
I mean, none of his papers formatted correctly, but like that's not. You know, I found it funny because Speed, you were talking about like going through his sources and stuff.
Yeah.
That's so incredibly honest of you to like think he even has an argument at his premise. Right?
I know, but
And,
you know,
follow his sources to see where they lead. Because, like, okay, I looked at like 2 or 3 of his sources. They didn't say what he said they were saying, and I really didn't care enough to look into any more because literally all of the math he chooses in his entire paper just doesn't make sense. Like they're literally numbers he pulled out of his ass, and he points to this table and he's like, "Oh, look, a generation time of 25." The table has 5 different couples, right? Each with obviously 2 people in each couple, and he arbitrarily chooses one from trio 3, and he chooses the father to represent the generation time for everything. And it's
here's
like,
the other
dude,
thing.
you literally just picked a random number that fits your narrative, and then you're using mutation rates, and you're just like arbitrarily like guessing what the wives' ages would be. It's
and then and he does
so
this
bad.
shit. He comes up with like these ages of 500. What is it?
Well, okay, so those
500
ages are
years
actually
old?
established in biblical genealogy.
Okay,
So
he calculates the mutations in Noah's offspring by assuming Noah was like 450 years old when he had kids.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Well, and that's not another thing is like his math just straight up doesn't add up. Like I think in his Noah generation, what he did was just add up the potential mutations for all 3 kids.
Right.
That's how pedigree works for some reason.
He adds up all the mutations and all the separate calculations that he does. I mean, okay,
goes to show
don't have a premise to start with. Like he has 0 foundation and then just starts putting in numbers and he's like, look, the math works. And it's like, okay, cool. You literally used numbers that fit your math before you even did the math, right? Like you did the math first and then played with it to see what would fit in there. And it's very telling that he was basically just committing intellectual fraud because he deleted it and tried to make it as hard to access as he could.
I stopped looking at the paper right about right
and the
here.
Other thing is too, the other thing is as well is that like the writing in the paper. And I know like before we've criticized their intellectual penmanship, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But the way he writes is like so distinctive.
Yeah, half of it's like screenshot. And like the text font is like never the same.
Well, shit, and he centered his. Did you see the centered paragraphs? I mean, they're not even paragraphs. All the paragraphs are centered.
The thing is, look at just that. So stop right there.
Yeah.
Wait, get back up.
Stop right there.
So go back up. So where it says by
channeling me
above and starting with
what?
So where it has by using the chart above and starting with.
Yeah.
The thing is, right? You can tell that that's been copy and pasted.
Yeah.
From something, but it's uncertain why.
I know. Why did he just put mother's age years there?
Yeah, it's just it's a mind.
And that's what I'm saying. Okay, but like the way he picks out these numbers, like if you scroll to the graph right above it, he just randomly picked them from the chart.
Yeah.
And
the thing is too,
he started right here with the middle, right through.
So if you go to here's the other thing too, where it says since most mutation rates are passed on via the father, drop down but before you hit the add 2.01 mutations. Do you see what's squished between that text?
Where the hell's that at?
Like it's very small text.
Right. Oh, up here. Oh, that's it. Published in final edited form as Nature 2012, August 23. So he's got a link there, or no, it's a picture. It's a picture.
Yeah.
Instead of putting fucking links in, he puts pictures, which really drives me crazy because I look up all the links. I don't care if they, I mean, I know I'm not going to find anything, but if somebody puts a link in a paper, I will look it up.
I've tried to do like PDF formatting and stuff like that, and I can tell you, it must be like a pain to do that.
Yeah, well, for a PDF, no. You create a text box, and he's got it set to a default of centering.
Yeah, but that's not a text file. That's an image file.
This is a picture. Yeah, it's pretty easy to do those.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they distort the page.
Oh, well, yeah, a little bit.
It's just it's. Oh man, I really want to email one of the directors of PLOS Bio.
Oh, I did. I emailed them today.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
I did. I copied you guys on the email, I think, didn't I?
You linked it to me.
No,
you forwarded it to me.
I thought you emailed it to the 2 guys we were in contact with earlier.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Well, I think you forwarded it to everyone. You sent it to PLOS Bio, and then you forwarded it to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
so
I don't think PLOS Bio will take very kindly to someone trying to do that.
I'm hoping they don't. Because this was, I mean, okay, why did he do it? Why do you think he did it?
So that he could trick people. I don't think he was expecting anybody to look into it.
You know what? I think he was so sure he was going to get published that he honestly is naive enough to think that you just send something to them and they publish it. Right?
So my personal thinking is the reason that they did this is that they always receive complaints. Like one of the common complaints from evolution, from people who substantiate evolution or any real science, is that the people who is that we always want peer review sources, and it cannot be from like creation.
This is why,
like creation institutes, and even if we do accept it, it's like okay, but that's already admitting like confirmation bias. So Ramat, in his geniusness, thinks to himself, "Oh, I know what I'll do. I will, I will doctor a document in such a way that it looks like I have gotten published in a legitimate scientific journal.
Yeah,
and now the scientific community has to take me seriously because this is published in a journal that isn't a creationist journal."
Yeah, I personally think that like he put that banner up there and stuff so that he could like parade it around on his channel or send it to his creationist friends and stuff. But then we found it, and I don't think he was expecting it to get like the amount of traction that it had, because whenever the last time I saw it, it had something like 200 reads, and the rest of his papers only had like 30 or 40 reads. Right. Yeah. And it was because, we were like sharing it on like Reddit and, live streams, Twitter, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I have a hard time believing it's anything other than intellectual fraud. I want to see what his response is.
Yeah, it is definitely intellectual fraud. And honestly, I mean, we joke about like Maddox has, tried to do this whole like legal, I'm going to take you to court speed because blah, 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 something. Legal slander, something like that. But I do hope that Ramat recognizes that manufacturing a document, like, and claiming like ownership in a journal that never published you, is significant as a
Redefine Living linked that document to me yesterday and told me. And then chided me for coming back and complaining that it was raw mat before I'd actually read it. Actually, I had read about half of it because that was 5 minutes later. So they linked it to me. So raw mat must have given it to Redefine Living to put it online, and they're the ones that put this document out there. Yeah, I just downloaded it. I followed a link.
Did Redefine Living think that he had published it in PLOS?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he thought it was like published.
So he was literally lying to like his base, and that's mind blowing to me. Like
it is.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay. Ian Chen, are they making you wear masks even in your photos now, which is really safe? Because I was worried. I worry when people put photos online without their mask.
Yeah, that's why he's had his face cam off this whole time.
Yeah. Right. Not gonna do that. Anyway, what is this? It's time for a gentle reminder now. Is that something we should...
It's sort of a joke. He was saying that he would remind me from time to time that I need to get videos out. That I actually need to use my channel.
Okay. Nice. There you go. What did Ron...
tried to put out a new paper recently as well. Let me check though.
Okay, with Vesta, we have online right now a document that they linked to me yesterday that appeared. It appeared that Ramat had published in PLOS Biology on August 6th, which is the current episode, right here.
Yeah.
So and then we looked at the logo and the DOI and everything, and it looked official. And of course, when you look at the paper, there's no way in hell they're ever going to publish this thing. So we investigated it. Then during our live stream, when we were complaining about it, Ramat went up and edited out the logo and the DOI and a bunch of other stuff.
Have you heard the updates to it? Basically, he's made it impossible to get, right? So
yeah, part of it, I did get a copy as soon as he edited it. So
yeah. Well, he removed it from the original site it was on, the academia.edu or whatever. And then he made it request only on ResearchGate, so you have to like actually email him to request the paper. If
right. Okay.
But luckily, enough people had downloaded it that if you want to read the paper, I don't have the version with the PLOS Biology, But I do have a version, and it's being shared on Reddit and stuff. It's pretty good.
Well, let's see here. Okay, so like it's it's always good. When somebody criticizes you, and you take the criticism to heart, it is always really good then when you instantly change your paper, right?
Yeah.
Like he did here.
Oh, by the way,
yeah, it seems like you really took it to heart.
So it looks like PLOS biology is no longer here at all.
It looks like the
Oh,
paper's
by the
not
way-
even there anymore.
Experimental.
by the way, he did it again today.
What?
Oh, the language one?
No.
Another
Metabolic
one.
enzyme superoxide dismutase regarding longevity.
Did he claim
Okay.
it was published in a journal?
Did you download it?
Hold on, let me see if he claims that it not sure if he claims that it was published anywhere. He claims it has a DOI, but I'm not sure if it's
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't download it. You saw it and you didn't download it. God damn.
No, I have I do see it. Let me see if it's
What am I paying you for, Immutable?
These
what have you paid me with?
did he send you a book once or something?
Love. I bought you a book once.
You bought me a cheap book.
$16.
I have sent you over $300 worth of organic chemistry textbooks.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
Well, imagine that, aren't we?
But oh my god, I
Here is the paper itself, but it's on ResearchGate only. It hasn't been.
This makes me wonder if Ramat thinks that we're like out to get him or something, or like I don't even know, because if you think your paper actually holds water, you should send it to the people who would be the strongest critics of it, right? Like he should be sending it to us before he even publishes it, quote unquote, right? He should be sending it to he should be sending it out to the people who disagree with him, who are going to scrutinize everything he said. Because if we don't take it seriously, there's no way in hell that actual academics are going to take it seriously.
No, not a snowball's chance in hell.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Okay, here's the thing with Ramat. He has been putting out videos for a long time, and prior to that, he put out a book, a health book, which I purchased today, where he is coming up with all of these crazy ass purifying remedies and all this bullshit in pseudoscience. And every video that he has done on evolution, he is putting out the confidently putting out the worst fucking information that I have ever seen in my life. And every time I have checked even just below the surface, his information is so whack, so goddamn misleading and crazy. And yet he comes off slick as hell. Like he really knows what he's talking about. And he's got all these creationists calling them their great scientists. Ramat is here. Oh, no, the science is in the room and all this bullshit. That fucker needs to be stopped. I'm sorry.
I think
You can't put out that amount of information, that amount of misinformation, and not have somebody come down on you with the greatest, strongest criticism that we can muster.
I think the only reason he has that sort of like reverence in their little circle jerk is because he actually creates his own claims. Like the rest of them don't really create their own claims. Standing's trying to create his own claim with the Neanderthal thing, and it's not working, right? So most of them just rely on like secondary sources and stuff. But oh my god, this is why Ramat shouldn't be making his own claims. Like this is really bad. Like
Yeah, this is bad, like from a lot of different angles.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, I'm purely talking about like what's actually in there. It's so poorly done. I'm not even talking about like the formatting or how he literally lied about being in the journal.
The information itself is like all appealing to the Bible, and then he makes a case out here. Is it in this one or is it in the language? Also, Ian Chen mentioned the language one. We'll try to get to that. That is just such bullshit.
just go to like the beginning of the article and like watch what he says like at the beginning of it.
Hang on a second.
Yeah. Well, okay, I don't even fault him for using the Bible, right? I fault him for just straight up having incorrect math. You know, that's the easiest thing to fix.
Okay, look at this right here. Okay, based on scripture, okay, so he's saying that creation should be taught in the classroom in every school on earth as a counter argument against evolution. That's kind of crap that he's pushing for. So, and he goes through here and it's just Bible preachy stuff. And
yeah,
I'm sorry, but politically, this is my hot button.
Oh, that's beautiful. As of now, the public is divided in whether or not the Earth is in 10,000.
Oh, he's got Gallup polls.
No, fair. Okay, the only debate occurring here is the debate, quote unquote, that creationists are trying to have with us.
Yeah,
the scientific community, 99.999999% of them agree that the Earth is 4.2, 4.4 billion years old.
4.6, I think. But yeah, it doesn't matter.
4.6 billion years old, and that the universe is 13.8 billion years old.
Yeah, all that tells us that possibly 42% of Americans really, really need to quit listening to charlatans like him and start learning a little science, if that's the case. But that's a Gallup poll about the United States, and he kind of implies like it's the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
The United States is singular.
Like, it's a very small fraction of Christians that actually believe this point. And most of them are, like, evangelical and, like, Protestant denominations, if memory serves correctly.
Yeah. Well, actually, a study just came out last month about how evolution is being taught more in public schools, like now more than it's ever been. And it's actually, like, creationism's on the decline and all that kind of stuff, which... not really a surprise, but I do think it's pretty interesting. I'm not
so sure about Texas. I'm not so sure about Texas. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, like, Texas, like, you can ask Aaron Raw about this. Like, the Texas State Board of Education is, like, so corrupt in terms of, like, what they will want to teach their children. It is by no means, like, in the interest of, like, it's selectively, like, in the interest of China. Well, not as China.
Well, I mean, do y'all think the problem's any better in Alabama? It's just less talked about in Alabama because we don't even have any, like, liberal places.
Hey, Vesta, you live in Canada. You guys really ought to build a goddamn wall to keep us out. Because,
you know,
Americans suck.
It's really interesting because I'm reminded of when Logical, Plausible, Probable did his own video on, like, why he thinks evolution is part of, like, the new atheist, like, paradigm. Like, why it's the reason, like, all atheists are atheists.
Yeah.
He, like, in that video particularly, like, he misunderstands a lot of shit. But importantly, like, he misunderstands, like, why people become atheists, like, and why that has a link to evolution. It's not that evolution takes people away from their faith. I mean, sometimes it does do that to people, but it's probably in the minority as a statistic.
Well,
like, the reason that I believe it takes people away from the faith is that all their life, because I've known people who have, like, been under like that kind of religious indoctrination.
They've been lied to.
Yes, precisely. Is that these people have been lied to. Like, they have been sold on this belief that the Bible is infallible, that the only thing you can do, like, the only way you can be good, like, is to be, like, in God's good graces. And now, because you've given them, like, such a stringent view on reality, and like, part of that view has been taken wrong, they no longer have a reason to believe you.
Fundamentalism is the very best way to create an atheist, and they don't quite get that. I mean, there is a version of Christianity that is perfectly compatible with all of science. That's all you have to do is drop the damn dogma and, stop thinking you're more right than everybody else in the world, and just accept God as a creator that created a universe that creates life. And then we can all get along.
Well,
I mean, well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, you're very correct on that. Like, half the people they're arguing against online, at least half, are, like, former creationists. There's, like, Dapper Dino, Gutsick Gibbon.
Apologia?
Yeah, Apologia, Vice Rhino.
Kent Hovind converted a lot of them.
Yeah.
Just listening to his videos. I've heard that story at least 6 times already.
Mm-hmm.
And that was yours, right?
Yeah, partially. Yeah, I guess it was Ken Ham that got me looking into it, and it was Kent Hovind that kicked me out of it.
Okay.
The thing is, too, it's like I guess like I wasn't a creationist like when I was a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But so the thing that's like so confusing to me, like even from kind of like a logistic standpoint, is that if you believed like so strongly, like if you believed like strong enough, like in what you thought was true, why do you need to attack the opposition? I mean, the opposition should fall on its own. Like people should be swayed by the evidence that you present, like to them without needing to present the opposition.
Hold on a second here. Midnight. Pulse check. Is Midnight okay? He's been very quiet.
Yes, I'm here. Don't
You okay?
We're just checking you out, man.
I'm alive.
Carry on, guys.
But yeah, I mean, it's curious to me that creationists more so like to attack the opposition's argument than they do like defend their own positions, like and provide justification. Like for instance, you can ask, okay.
Oh, that's harsh, Besta. Oh, shit.
You can ask them, for instance, like, okay, how did the Earth like enter an ice age, like 100 years after the global flood, according to your model?
Literally, the flood was a nuclear holocaust with all the radiation.
I mean, the thing is, it's like, okay, at being most generous, it's a year-long event. So some of that heat's going to be dissipated. But there's nowhere near, like, enough heat. Like, it's physically impossible for that level of heat to be dissipated that quickly and to have an ice age occur. Like what, the next day? Like, in the next 100 years?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just... How does this even work?
Did you see Gutsa Gibbons, or I guess Erica's video about like the physics of the global flood and like, you know, to speed up all the radiation and stuff?
It was
something like 10,000 atomic bombs per cubic meter of water or something like that.
Yeah,
it was something insane. It was like, you know, you literally just salted the Earth with radiation. Like every square inch of Earth is worse than the elephant foot in Chernobyl.
Yeah, it would literally cause everything to go extinct, like simultaneously.
Yeah, when you listen to Standing for Truth, how quickly he blows by that. Oh, you assume millions of years, you know, like the 99%.
We assume facts.
We assume facts, yeah. Yeah, in our model, we assume millions of years. Like he was making the case that with the Neanderthals, he kept bringing up millions of years, and it had nothing to do with whether or not things can breed. Yeah. I mean, for God's sake, what did they cross a radish with a cabbage plant, and it produced viable offspring?
Plants are weird, like in their own, but like. I think that whole argument is just completely irrelevant. All right, let's take millions of years out of the equation. Let's say that there's 6,000 years. It doesn't change the critical error that like Neanderthals are an outgroup.
It makes it a hell of a lot worse because the amount of mutational differences between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, 1,300 years is all he's giving them to speciate, turn into Neanderthals, then somehow inbreed and go extinct in 1,300 years. I mean, that's pretty fucking fast. It's not going to happen.
The thing is, though, I do wonder, like, if one of the reasons that Standing is a young Earth creationist still is because, like, is because of this whole age of the Earth issue. Because there's times where he almost seems to understand parts of evolution.
Oh, Satan's here.
But the age of the Earth thing, like, really seems to be like one of the critical issues for him.
Yeah.
And I do wonder, like...
He never supports it. He blows by that, you know, and goes to all this other bullshit. But
I do think it'd be interesting to try and have him debate on that. Like, on the age of the Earth.
Yeah. Well, I think he would deflect because he's not like the expert, but I
Well, no, but I mean, as that is part of his belief structure, he should be able to defend it.
yeah, I don't know. I think Standing is probably the most open-minded of the creationists I've listened to. I think that's a pretty low bar, right? But I mean, he's willing to accept at least like basic arguments. What were we saying, Immutable?
No, I think actually like that's quite significant, especially given like some of his contemporaries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Nephilim, for instance, like won't even consider the possibility of like his own arguments being wrong, or that he doesn't know enough information on a topic like to discuss it adequately and in sufficient detail.
Copy.
Yeah.
Lunar Bukake. That is all.
Oh God!
Okay. Who's the one who came up with that term? I think it's
Nephilim.
hilarious.
No, it's not Nephilim who came up with it. Oh God, who came up with?
Was it like Crocodile or something?
It might have been Crocodile.
Yeah, Ian,
I don't know. That sounds like something in that circle. But
Ian, I have had the misfortune of tracking down almost all of his papers and reading them, and not a one of them agrees with anything he says. And
Well, of course.
That's because that's literally because Nephilim never reads his sources. Like the thing is, he will only read the part like that's quoted by creationists, or the part that he wants to read.
well, if you track them down, it's amazing. You go to the paper, you read the paper doesn't say what they say it says. Then you track down the quote, and if you add the word creationism to the Google, it will take you to the source where SFT or John Mad Duck Ox got it. It almost invariably, they get all of their papers from those sources. I think Maddox has gone out and got a few independent ones by doing searches for like language and DNA or something like that. But for the most part, that is their go-to. And I've been signing up to those journals, and I get barraged like 10 articles a day from these guys, from Ken Ham and the rest. And they all have the same bullshit in it. And at the end of it, they will link papers, and those papers are going to appear in next month's debates.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but now that I said it out loud, they're going to be wise to us.
Nah, I don't
Who
think
said
so.
it? You said what now?
You're thinking too much.
Who the hell is Satan Demonson, and what the fuck?
I don't know.
He
I'm
wants to meet.
appreciating his chat, so.
I think he's trying to set up a date with me in hell to meet as near as
Did
I
Maddox
can.
did Maddox say like he was going to be prepared for you, or what did he say?
No. I mean, basically, when they realize that we understand their tactics for debates, and they're gonna start trying to find another way to sneak up on us. Like they may actually have to go out and read some of their own papers instead of going to AMG and ICR and all that.
I doubt that, because when Maddox figured out that like we could actually read his sources, like in that we read more than just what he read of the paper.
Yeah.
Remember what he did?
Did he delete them or get rid of his folder? I don't know.
No, he claimed, first of all, that we didn't read the paper. So, like, when you point out to Maddox like that, oh, well, this paper actually doesn't agree with that point,
Right.
because it literally states the opposite of that point, like in the next paragraph.
Ian, I do not have time to read all the papers because it takes me longer than 2 hours to really read and understand a paper. Because when you read a paper, then of course you have 50 links at the bottom, and you got to go to that paper. But I do what I can, and I try to read enough to get the gist of the thing to understand what the paper says. And if I do that with 3 or 4 papers, then I will just disregard. I mean, eventually I get tired. And
The thing is, right, like when Maddox makes the claim of like, oh, I read 10 papers a day. Ho, 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 ho.
Yeah, it takes me like 4 or 5 hours to read one damn good paper, and
So-
sometimes all day.
The person we had on our channel Wednesday, like that paper was only about 16 pages long.
Right.
Oh,
That's
man.
right.
And
Oh my god.
I spent several days on it.
Like I haven't finished that paper yet. I still have like 3 or 4 pages to go.
Yeah. It's
And like the paper itself, even though it's only like 12 pages long, it took me probably like 6 to 7 hours, like to properly read that paper, understand what it was saying, and to annotate like the parts of the paper that I thought were relevant and might need clarification.
Yeah. And generally, like, if I'm reading papers that are like evolutionary biology, usually they're not so dense that I can't get like an understanding of what they're saying. But sometimes I don't really get like the implication, so I'll email the authors or something, right?
Right.
Like,
Sometimes
the thing to do.
Yeah, sometimes you have to read it over a couple times. Sometimes you have to go and get references.
Yeah, but like,
But, you know,
Like, it usually, at best, like a short paper that's like 3 or 4 pages is still going to take me like 30 to 45 minutes to read. You know?
yeah.
You're pretty
The thing is,
fast.
well,
You could read it that
reading the
fast. I
paper-
can't.
I can read them in 2 minutes. I'm joking.
Ah,
Like,
midnight.
if you're reading a paper like
Oh,
that's
great.
significantly long,
Okay, midnight. I'm gonna get a box and send them all to you.
okay.
There'll be about a 200-pound box arriving on like Tuesday morning. I could overnight it. I can get them there by Monday, and you could read them all for me. So I got about 500 papers for you. So 2 minutes. So what is that? 1,000 minutes.
1,000 minutes should be a little under what? 60 hours.
Yeah. So at 2 minutes of paper, 60 hours to read the papers that I've already got printed out and stored on this whole thing. So you can tell that I am going to fail at my goal of trying to figure out all of this right to the very bottom. Plus, I have stacks of books behind me, and I should be studying, not fucking trying to stamp out fires for standing for truth and raw math.
Yeah, Walker. To be clear, though, right? I mean, if you're just skimming through a paper, it takes you like 45 minutes to understand it.
I was talking about like short papers on stuff that I'm already pretty familiar with, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
But
like
so-
if I'm reading a paper on molecular biology, it'll take me like at least 2 or 3 hours.
Okay,
If I'm reading on something, so like, you know, I've been doing a lot of reading on like elephant phylogeny and elephant biogeography and that kind of stuff, right? And so since it's just like the same, you know, sort of ideas, I now know what like lophodont molars are and like bunodont. So whenever I see those words, like I don't have to look them up anymore, and I can just like read it as it's written.
Right, but if you're reading like a review article on a topic and it's like, I don't know, 15, 20 pages long.
Oh my God. Yeah, review articles are, I'm not going to say they're the worst because they're usually really interesting and they're really good at like summarizing information. But sometimes like if you want to actually understand where the claim is coming from, that's like a whole nother like side branch that you have to follow.
Yeah, well, I mean, not just that, but I mean, to understand like all the points they're making, it takes like several hours, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
Long time.
Yeah, like when I started reading that A bio paper, I run into that HUP domain. And I'm like, holy shit, HUP domain family. And I had not heard of it. So I spent the next 2 hours tracking that shit down. And then it's like, oh my God, I got to get back to the paper. And I was on like page 2. So
yeah,
I get
usually like
way distracted.
Usually when papers like do that kind of thing, it's like, oh, HAP domain 2. It's like, okay, cool. I don't know what that is, but I assume that they'll explain kind of what it does in the next few sentences.
I think we have an elephant joke.
Yeah,
Because
so
they usually will.
the elephant in the room. In the comments of my last video, Ian he posted a joke about elephants. So he says, an elephant looks upon a naked man and exclaims, "Oh my, how do you breathe through that thing?"
Oh God! Oh man!
Pretty
That
good.
is good.
That made me laugh.
Yeah, and you probably made a hell of a lot more money than we're ever going to make.
No, with his business, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always joke around that, like, you know, I'm essentially getting like the evolutionary biology equivalent of a art history major, or I'm getting the bio equivalent of an art history major, but I still got to get through all like the intro classes.
Yeah.
Like everyone fails out because, you know, there's so many people that come in pre-med and they're like, you know, oh, I got a C in chemistry. I have to quit now. It's like, nope, I don't got a choice. I didn't make a C though, so we're doing all right so far.
Okay.
Wait, you got a C in normal chem?
No, I got an A in that class, but it's
Okay.
yeah.
So okay, Satan Demonson is
You might stick with
obviously
Orgo then.
Yeah. I like
Satan,
Timothy, actually. That was pretty. What?
Satan Demonson is obviously a sock puppet for somebody who knows me. Is this Maddox? Maddox, are you here? Are you lurking?
I don't think he's a creationist. I think he's just joking.
Oh, he is. Okay.
He's probably just trolling.
I don't know. Yeah, he seems like he's probably joking. So I have
is-
no idea who you are, Satan. You should email me and introduce yourself.
If it is Maddox, I'm very surprised that he learned to have he learned how to have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I guess that would be. Yeah, that's not Maddox. Like
The telltale sign.
so. You see this. The implications of my research will have a profound impact on society and how we view our historical past. Oh shit! I'm doing it again. Well, anyway, he put his name there, so he put his name at the top of the paper, and I keep showing it, but
Well, if he put his name there, that means it's public record.
it is public, yeah. And
So-
it was,
I mean, I guess it's fair to not like want to dox him or anything, but yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about it too much.
yeah. Well, he puts his name on this health book that he did that I found today on Amazon by searching around for his name.
Yeah,
for Raw Matt.
just a healthy amount of stalking.
Yeah. Well, he put. I was searching for other books he had to see if there were any PDFs available,
Mhm.
and I found this crazy ass book on health where he's trying lifting a rock and trying to kill. Is he trying to kill an alligator, or what does he do with that rock? Or is that like a dinosaur thing? He's going to throw the rock at the dinosaur. I don't know.
I saw the. I think I saw the thing that you're referencing.
That
It's
rock looks a little heavy.
It does, and I'm like, okay, did somebody dare him to like just lift the rock, or
Or is that
What?
a styrofoam rock like they have in Hollywood?
yeah?
To lift the rock.
Yeah. Lift the rock.
I'm like, I've tried lifting heavy objects before, and I'm like, I don't know, that rock like looks very abnormal and kind of heavy to lift, if you ask me. But I don't know. I mean,
Where's the rest of this
ask a
stuff?
fruitarian near you if you should do heavy rock weight lifting.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't. It's a good way to fuck yourself up. God,
Pretty
what,
good fuck up
what,
your spine.
what does he talk about? Okay, what I have noticed in studying my stoic. Okay, this is just great. What the hell is he on about here? What I have noticed from studying stochastic models, and then he talks about his research, and like, what research are you doing on language, dude? And then he talks about drawing two bubbles side by side, and he makes a case that because children lose the ability to learn a new language by the time they're 13, apparently that makes man incapable of evolving a language, or basically language evolving, or coming up with mankind. And it doesn't make any damn sense.
Yeah, that's stupid. Sorry about the R word, but yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't let Ellie hear you say the R word.
Oh, you know something actually kind of interesting.
Did I
About
use the R word?
No,
Oh, what is the R word? We can't say the R word, can we?
retarded.
You said the R word.
I did.
I'm fucking bouncing you.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
Yeah, something kind of interesting about like language acquisition as like an evolutionary pressure and all that kind of stuff. So generally the gene that's considered like the language gene, it's called FOXP2. Yeah, and like mutations in FOXP2 have led to like language deficiencies and all that kind of stuff. And actually, Neanderthals had a slightly different allele that was only different from our FOXP2 gene by a single base. And I think chimpanzees have an allele that's different by like 3 or 4 bases compared to us, which is pretty interesting as well. But it means that like Neanderthals probably weren't able to communicate as well as we do.
So what is that? FOXP2, does it affect the motor area of your facial muscles or anything like
No,
that?
I think it's the connection within your brain between forming sounds and like the connection between thoughts and forming those sounds, right?
Oh,
So
right,
it's not
okay.
like affecting like the actual muscles,
I think
but it's just like the neural pathways.
Yeah, but I think it has. There's like a loop between your audio processing between your muscles for your face and mouth,
Mhm.
and between Broca's area and Wernicke's area in your temporal lobe, And I would have to look into it, but I'm guessing it is a really fascinating story. And we ended up with the same thing like we did with the frontal cortex, in which we had some additional loops that allowed us to do like go one level up, one more dimension, basically.
Mhm.
Like our ability to go one dimension up has allowed us to model time, to use something like the hippocampus, which is primarily it is there to model space, to figure out where we stored our nuts. And we have commandeered it because of this ability to extend these loops to go one more dimension up, so that we can use the hippocampus to map time. And that allowed us to understand future and past. And it's really kind of cool. But I bet Fox P has the same connection, though I've never checked into it.
Yeah.
How much do you know about it?
Oh God, it was actually looking into Fox P2 and stuff was something that I was looking into like just as I was coming into evolution and all that. So it was something I was really interested in for a bit, but it was also I was really young at the time, so I obviously wasn't reading papers about it.
I will have to look into that tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, what the hell? I'm gonna read my book tomorrow. Genetic analysis.
I need to fucking finish Rocks Were There. I really need to finish that book.
God, you're reading that entire book?
I'm trying. I'm like 20% of the way done right now. I'm only on like their second meat paragraph, but like their third paragraph.
I'm using it as a reference because holy shit, it's too big. Oh,
yeah, I wish I had like a physical copy instead of. I got it as a Kindle ebook instead because it was like a $14 difference, and I wouldn't have to explain what I was reading. If I got a Kindle version.
I got Wonderful Life last night too. And
good ass book.
Yeah.
That one's pretty dense though too. That one's very dense.
Yeah, that's my hot tub reader.
Yeah.
Hope I don't drop it in the hot tub like I did one book. It was really fucking sad.
I want your books.
You want the books? Which
I want a book.
I'm kind of afraid to let Midnight know where I live. I can see him stalking up in the bushes at night. Like I'll hear this rustling. It'll be you.
If you heard rustling, I'm assuming you just think it was a raccoon.
Yeah, I usually assume that, or a coyote.
Well, I mean, I am basically a giant raccoon.
Ah,
Well,
Of course.
The minor raccoon ever.
well, you'll get dog food, but not books.
I want books.
The raccoons love dog food. They prefer that to anything, like even beef or like meat and treats.
I mean, they're both caniforms. Raccoons
Yeah.
are pretty closely related to dogs.
Yeah, they're more related to bear, right?
Yeah, well, actually, it's really interesting because Canidae is the most basal grouping within Caniformia.
I'm pretty sure that's it, Ian.
Huh? What'd you say?
It improves your dancing ability.
Yeah, pretty much. Dogs are the least related caniform to any other caniform.
Okay.
So raccoons, I think Procyonidae is a sister group to Mustelidae, which would be like weasels and otters and stuff. But I'm not completely sure.
Raccoons are amazingly primate-like in there's some convergent evolution.
Mhm.
Their hands are amazingly capable. They can unscrew things and they do some pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah.
And they've started walking upright a little bit for some reason, which is pretty bizarre. I would keep an eye on those little fuckers for the next 300 or next at least
60 million years.
years. Yeah. Because they're going to be coming up out there and they're hanging around us and they're watching us and reading our technology.
They're planning to take over.
They're right out there right now in my window looking in at my computers and watching what I'm doing right now. Why?
It's kind of a shame, like when you think about like how much evolution has accomplished and created, like in terms of diversity.
Yeah.
That just like the fact that the sun is going to go boom in another 5 billion years and just exterminate everything.
Yeah, but I think you're looking at the hole instead of the donut when you think that.
Yeah.
5 billion years is a
don't
long
know.
fucking.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
we
know.
only
I
have
mean,
multicellular life for like a million or like a billion years or so. So
We need, we need
it is pretty great. Like,
to put.
you know, what were you saying? I didn't hear what you said.
Well, no, I just said we would do attach giant rockets to the Earth and just move it away from.
Just move it.
get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, move it further from the sun and then move it closer in when it starts to die down.
Yeah,
And then
I
zoom
think
up
there's
and
a
then-
better chance that we're going to kill everything than the sun's going to kill everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, probably will. Probably humanity will cause itself to go extinct before the sun does.
I don't think humanity will ever actually go extinct, or at least not like
Well,
our lineage. I think we're
I
by the
don't know
time
about that.
that like we're ready to basically like kill everyone else. We're at least going to have like outposts and stuff on other planets. I think we're going to reach the inner space travel like level before we actually get to the let's kill everything on Earth level.
Okay, hear me out though, right? I mean, it took, like, it's taken, like, bacterial, like, and fungal life, like, several 100 million years or so, roughly, like, to get the planet to where it wants to be in terms of them surviving. And that's on a planet that they evolved on. How long do you think it's going to take, like, on a planet like Mars or,
Well, yeah, but also
on a planet that
bacteria
they haven't evolved?
But bacteria don't have like advanced technology and like actually know what they want. Evolution's unguided. I mean, okay, it's not unguided. That's a misconception. But like, evolution's not directed, right? Like they're not going, if we fill this atmosphere with nitrogen, the greenhouse effect is going to warm this place up to a level that we could survive in. Like that's not what they're thinking. But I feel like human scientists, if we get to the level that we could travel between solar systems, we're definitely at a level that we could probably terraform a planet.
Okay, but in a sense, though, right? Like bacteria do, like, favor subsequent generations that acclimate the planet more towards their liking.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, in some sense, they do have desires in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just not sure how long it's going to take for like, even if we were to have like a viable strain of bacteria that could live on Mars or something like that, how long it would take it to get the planet to like have an atmosphere or something.
I don't think we would do it with bacteria.
Really?
Like, not.
I mean,
not
bacteria are one of the most efficient ways of having like a planet get a fixated atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like bacteria might be a secondary thing, but we would probably try to get like the biochemistry right first.
Okay, but how though? I mean, bacteria are excellent, like with that type of biochemistry in terms of like fixating metals and stuff like that. But
yeah, how
are we going to fixate metals like to the point where they need to be to have them essentially, stop being metal oxides?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's not something I'd ever thought about. I never really thought about like terraforming planets using bacteria. But I still feel like if we know exactly what we're shooting for, we can adjust any sort of like atmospheric composition as we like, or like ecological composition as we like.
It depends on like the level of energy output a planet like that a civilization can have.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, like if we could manipulate the entire like output energy of the sun, for instance.
All right, that's like the Dyson sphere or whatever, right?
Yeah, like Dyson swarming and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like we're nowhere near close like to having that level of like technology yet.
Yeah.
Like it should be possible to have, like to build it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have like anything, like we don't have that high of a level of energy output yet.
Yeah.
Which
Do you
kind
think
of
we're going to
limits.
kill ourselves off before we get to that point?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think one of the issues might be that if our solution is like, okay, let's go to another planet and like try to terraform it.
Mm-hmm.
The issue I think we might have is number one, okay, how much resources are we going to expend reasonably, like, and how much cost for that matter is it going to take for the planet, or to have that planet terraformed, like at a decent rate.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we have to rely on sending things up, like using fuels and stuff like that, okay, that might work for for a little bit of time,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe nuclear might last another like several thousand years. But eventually, you're going to drain the Earth of its like radioactive materials.
Yeah.
And if fusion hasn't been developed and perfected by then you're going to have to use something else. Like you're going to have to use,
like
you're going to have to rely on the energy like from galactic clusters, or the sun as a starter.
Damn. Midnight just disappeared, or at least I just noticed him disappearing.
He does that occasionally.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could ask like astronomy buffs that I know, but I don't know. I mean, it could be we have enough resources, like as it stands, to terraform another planet to make it suitable for human life, or like for life in general. But I'm just not sure.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, let's see. I'm trying to find something.
Are you looking for something in the paper?
No, I'm looking for. Let's see. I'm trying to write down an email address in case he wants to delete it. So.
Who is this?
Ian.
But yeah, I mean, like you know about Dyson spheres. I mean, they're just great. Like even in principle, like they are crazily expensive to try to.
Yeah.
Like the amount of material alone it would create, like, doesn't exist on planet Earth.
Well, yeah, because you have to like cover the sun. Yeah.
You would need like, what is it? Like several hundred cubic miles, like worth of metal, like in order to even begin trying to do that.
That doesn't surprise me. I don't really know. Oh, sorry, I just saw that again. Chat from Vesta Freya. Really helped with maintaining my GPA.
Apparently, Vesta Freya is like really well educated.
Yeah.
Got some biochemistry under her wing. Knows some shit.
Ian's fucking with me, I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to read the paper and I'm missing chat, missing the context. I'm losing the thread, and God, I've been online way too much today. Anyway, this whole thesis is apparently has something to do with his theory that there weren't enough humans to create a language, number one, and I have no idea how that makes any fucking sense at all. And the other one is that because you can't learn a language after you're 13 years old, apparently he feels that you can't invent a language, even though there has been a whole lot of research on children being very, very the motive force in creating. Like there was a language that they invented when they conquered some island. And they created a language. The adults created a language that was sort of a bunch of nouns and words put together. Nouns and verbs put together. And the children actually created a syntax around it. And that went into the next generations. And so the children were, the younger ones were responsible for changing the language. And when you look at our memes today, most of the memes that we boomers use come from you guys. And we just, adopt them. And that happens over and over again. It happens with music. It happens with language. And it all streams from youth. And if we weren't renewed by youth, we'd be pretty fucking boring.
Yeah, well, and I also think this whole thing's a super big, like, false dichotomy. Like, language evolved with us. It's not like as soon as we hit the modern Homo sapien mark, we're like, all right, let's invent language now. It's not like it just popped into existence because somebody just decided to make language one day. There would have been, in a very social species with a very big brain, there also would have been a very big selecting pressure to the groups with the most efficient communication, and the groups that could communicate complex and abstract ideas.
Holy shit.
You could, to some extent, argue that cells have a sense of language to them as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and
I
the
mean-
other point I wanted to make about what you said earlier, Walker, was because bacteria do not have intent, the designs that they come up with actually work and are more complex than the designs that we would come up with, because we would try to draw a straight line to the solution.
Yeah.
And when you draw a straight line to the solution, you end up with less complexity, but you also end up with less diversity, and you probably in the long run end up with less good stuff that works, because we try to reduce it and we don't hit the creative part. So basically anything without an intent will be more creative at a solution.
Yeah.
And
Have you seen there was like this fungal species, I think it was. No, it was this type of slime mold. And they were able to they just put the slime mold on a piece of paper, and they were like able to accurately like map out the London metro system or something based on. Yeah, that was crazy. They basically put like little like frosted flakes or something in the places where like different London urban urban centers were, and then they put some slime mold there, and the slime mold basically spread out into like almost a perfect map of, was it London or Tokyo?
I have no clue.
I don't remember. It was one of the two, but it was like a big city, and it was almost an exact replica or an exact match of what their train system looked like.
I remember reading an article, and this is real, by the way. They used I think it was a fungus or a slime mold, but they used it because like they were trying to figure out like how dark matter and dark energy would spread, like under, like how it might be like distributed in the universe. Because at some points, like it seems really random, but at other points it seems kind of like well organized in a way. Like it's a very complex distribution. But they used like a growth model, like of how these fungus, of like how these fungi like grow and diversify, and the predictions like were spot on. Like we're in very good agreement for like how that essentially like the optimization like for the dark matter being oriented was very similar to that of these fungi.
Standing, are you talking about the Pocket Guide to Human Evolution? I think is what it's called, right? Because if so, I haven't. Like I said, I haven't read the book. I was supposed to read that book as like preparation before going to South Africa, and then I never ended up buying it because I didn't have to read it anymore.
Dead air. What's happening?
Well, I don't know. I was asking Standing what book he's referring to. Like specifically.
Is Standing going to show up on the stream? Did he get the email?
He did. He should have got it.
He did.
But yeah,
I said it.
I don't know. I feel like I need to read more. I used to read a lot when I was younger. Really, the only types of books I can get into are like hard fantasy.
I have trouble reading the mid-layer books now, like Wonderful Life, because I don't have time. I end up on textbooks or papers, one or the other. But I really want to read more of those because I got a stack of abio books that I really want to read, but they're all like in between text and papers, right? They're creative.
Yeah.
They're Brian Greene level or, kind of shit. So, and I mean, those things, you really need to augment your text with those kinds of books because those will take you into, some imagination. Whereas the textbooks will make you eventually boring.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I don't mind reading books like on abiogenesis. I mean, I think partially what it is that some books are like very oversimplistic with abio, and that's why I prefer like reading like some of the review articles and technical literature on it. Because if you read it like carefully, you can actually see kind of like where the direction of research seems to be heading. Like you can see where the you can kind of see like where the researchers want to go, like in what points like they're trying to address next. Which is good. I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, I could never in a million years do. Actually, I don't know. I could probably do some of the research that these people are doing, but I would want to do other stuff first.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. It's been like this past year, I've pretty much only read like academic books and stuff, and like nonfiction, science books. But I don't know. My all-time favorite author is Brandon Sanderson. If y'all have ever heard of him, he's a pretty good author.
I mean, one of the books like I've been reading consistently like throughout the year is Lewin's Genes. And it's a really good genetics book. Like it goes into like more genetics than I thought it would. And there was some stuff in there that like even from pretty reputable genetics authors that I had just like never heard of or like had completely forgotten about.
Right, and they had like the newer stuff that has been claimed to be newer, like chromosomal regions and stuff. I think they had that in like Lewin's Genes 7 or something.
Yeah, like 7 or 8 or something like that.
So Ian is disappointed that I don't have a citation for finding intelligent life in creationists.
Oh, by the way, Stanley, I asked you in the chat earlier. I'm wondering, have you talked to Raw Matt at all today? Like, do you know what was up with that paper and stuff?
Yeah. Do you want to defend your fellow brother in Christ?
Yeah, I had asked him in the chat for the live stream, and he said that he had been busy all morning. He hadn't talked to Raw Matt about like his paper. I have some serious problems with what that whole thing was about.
Yeah.
I think I was ranting more about it at the start of the live stream, but I do think it's like a textbook example of lying for Jesus.
It was worse than that. It was almost fraudulent, and it's something that academically you just don't fucking do.
Yeah, it was bad.
Maybe he was drunk, when he put it up there.
Too much fruit.
That would be fermented fruit. Come on, Standing. You want to defend that paper that Ramat put the plus logo on?
Yeah, in all honesty, I mean, we all have fun on this platform. I mean, we all know, like, that part of this is fun and all is fair, like in the debate sphere. But this takes things to a very serious level.
Different level.
That's very dangerous, like, to be playing with.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we are outright going to lie, I mean, do we get to lie too?
Well,
I would prefer to not lie because
do we get to cherry pick papers too?
Well, that's
I prefer to be honest with my audience and just have them. When I debate, like if I debate someone ever, have the audience judge me for the work I present, because if I'm wrong or if I've misrepresented something, I want to know that.
That's precisely why we are going to be made fun of more than them, and we are going to lose more debates than them, and we are going to have to work harder than them because we actually honestly try to get at the goddamn truth.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember, like, an example personally for me is like when Standing like wanted me to debate somebody on his channel. I didn't know who it was at the time, and I was like, okay, sure, I guess I'll do it. But little did I know it was Nephilim free. And like once I knew what the topic was, I was like, well, I don't know about the topic, so I'm not going to talk about it.
Wait, you didn't know about the topic? Like you didn't know what the topic was going into the
I like in advance I didn't know what the topic was. Like it turned out that it was going to be on the global flood. And I didn't know about it. I didn't know, like I had not studied for that position. I was like, well, I don't know this position. Like, I'm not going to argue for it, like against it.
Yeah.
And like other people joined in and started to talk about it, like in my place.
I just want to mention these very short introduction books. They're really good for understanding things in philosophy, like epistemology and all of that. They're about 100 pages long or less, and they save a tremendous amount of time. And I am impressed at Standing. Well, let's not talk about it.
Well, yeah. No, I
Anyway.
said this earlier in the stream, and I don't think Standing was here, and I don't know if Standing's here now because he hasn't said anything in the past few minutes.
Well, he disappeared when we started talking about Raw Matt's paper.
But yeah, I do think Standing is the most honest of like their circle. You know.
Yeah.
I think he's the one that's willing to accept criticism.
Well, I think, yeah, except for when he gets with his buds and he started picking on me that time. I have never had a bad experience with Standing, and he seems like a fine man.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely get like mob mentality is a thing. But,
yeah.
I think the only thing that really kind of irks me. Oh, did he comment in the live chat?
No.
Oh,
no. I was
going to say. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I have nothing. I'm working on something. I'm working on a little treat.
Yeah. What I was going to say is that the only thing that bothers me with Standing particularly is that when he debates people, and I get it, right? Like, people get upset. Like, things happen when that type of stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
But especially, like, in his earlier debates, when he got upset with somebody, like, things turned ugly pretty quickly.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Yeah, like things started getting to a level where it's like, whoa, like this is, this is a debate that's, serious and all, but it doesn't need to get quite that serious.
Well, the stuff that they say about us that, we're afraid to accept the Bible and we're afraid of God and all this stuff, like we're afraid because it'll change our worldview. That is a real thing with them. The reason that they accuse us of this is because for them, it's almost a life and death situation. If you start to break into their rational bubble and you just chip away a little bit at what they believe, they get scared shitless.
Uh-huh.
Well,
because their entire life could come tumbling down around that one idea.
So, and I think Walker, I don't know, maybe some parts of Alabama aren't quite this bad, but I know, like, from listening to Telltale Atheist, that, like, and I do agree with him, kind of like that one of the greatest disservices, like, that religion does to people is that it makes you very reliant, like, almost to a crippling degree.
Yeah.
Like, it makes, like, the way I've, like, been introduced with fundamentalists is that they teach you about kind of like the fundamentals of the faith and like things that are like really, 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 really super important. In this case, like the creation evolution thing.
Mm.
But they don't teach you necessarily, like, at least in philosophical terms, like how to philosophize correctly, like how to be like efficient, like, and proper in terms of like logical reasoning and things like that.
Yeah.
And those kind of things, like, are really essential when you, like, want to enter a debate atmosphere and want to try to convince people of a point. But when you deal with people, like, when you deal with people who don't, like, who don't agree with you and who don't, like, hold to the same positions you do, and you've only been taught to handle them in a certain kind of way, well, how do you expect to deal with these people? Like, how do you deal with these people who these tactics don't work with?
Yeah.
Or these people who don't obey the kind of norm that you've been taught these people are supposed to be representative of?
Yeah, the problem with, and that's why I really feel bad for them, and you almost want to save them from their fundamentalism, because that fundamentalism ties them up into knots, and it starts to make them mean, and it keeps them from so many things. If they would just lay down the dogma a little bit, just lighten the fuck up. I mean, just give up the idea that there really was, a Garden of Eden and a flood, and look at Christianity from a greater, view. Christianity has some really powerful things in it, that can interplay with the human human nature is about faith, a lot of it. And there can be an interplay between that deep spiritual, mystical Christianity and that, if they would just give up the goddamn dogma. If you believe in things, you are automatic. Like there was some stuff somewhere in the New Testament about, maybe it was in one of the books that didn't make it, something about false idols and basically taking something to be God that really isn't, or something like that. And it's sort of like that is what they're talking about, is the dogma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the that is the false idol. And it's the, like, from a Buddhist perspective, that is the believing that, you know, this one person or idea is God, and you need to give that up in order to find the true God, which is beyond that. And I don't know, as an atheist, I can see that pretty clearly, and I think it really fucks them up, and I feel bad for them, and that's why they get so goddamn mean.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my complaint also is that, you know, because I can kind of see the Bible as a, like, I can accept the fact, like, that you can see the Bible, like, as something that's a poetic, like, that's a book that's poetic and that has meaning in that kind of way. I just don't find, like, the narrative it's trying to portray convincing. I mean, and part of that comes down to, like, the historicity of Jesus and other stuff like that. But it's like you are so, like, being so simplistic with the Bible, like, and not even giving it, like, the type of credit it, like, it's owed in terms of the types of things you could want, like, you could extrapolate with in terms of, like, it having value, like, as a narrative that transcends, like, its own context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, like, I think I sort of side with, like, Dapper here, where it's like, I really don't care what your religious beliefs are. Like, I don't think there's necessarily any inherent contradiction with, like, you know, religious beliefs and, like, what is observable in reality, right? I know Speed would probably disagree.
No? Run that by me again.
Well, I don't think that there's any inherent contradictions with religion and, like, the observable world.
No, but as long as you're willing to give up the belief in reducible, tangible bullshit, it's completely compatible. I mean, there is a bridge when you go far out into what naturalism actually is. When you take it to its logical extension, you end up finding a bridge back to religion that is real solid. And I'm always fascinated with trying to get believers and Christians to meet me on that bridge, because it all hashes out the same. The faith, the spirituality, the morality, all of it is all out there on that bridge. And you don't have to believe a goddamn thing. You don't have to believe any spooks at all. In fact, spooks get in the way. Spooks take you away from the real meaning of the message, basically. So anyway, something we should get into sometime on a stream deeper, you know?
Yeah. Do you have something to share?
I do have
something. Like, it's my opinion, like, that there are certain aspects of Scripture which are contradictory only if you choose to interpret the passage as being literal. But otherwise, there are, like, that contradiction can be washed away.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it was a massive amount of text about rules and, you know, societal rules and this and that, many books, but there were some real gems in there. And there are some books that, you know, that I don't think made the cut. I forget which one. We talked about it before. Was it Thomas?
I mean, the entirety of the Apocrypha. I mean, the Diary of Jane, the Gospel of Thomas.
Yes, that one. Gospel. A Catholic priest who I really respect. He was really involved in basically alcohol recovery. He was a real old dude, and I was real young. And he told me to read that one when I talked to him about Buddhism. And we talked in his rectory for hours and hours, and I am convinced that he was secular, that he had none of these beliefs. And he used to go around to our meetings and give talks on spirituality, and he would never mention religion. It was entirely something else. So it was really cool. But that was a book that he told me to check out, and that was 40 years ago, and I never checked it out. I really should. So, SFT book review. Yes. Yeah, this is something that we're trying to organize with Erica, but I think she has
her own plans,
full house, or she's busy, but yeah, we definitely want to be involved in this SFT book club. So
yeah, that was something that I was typing out. I was saying, like, I know Erica wants to do it, and she sort of like dropped that carrot in front of us and stuff.
Yeah.
She hasn't really said anything to me about it since, I haven't talked to her really since that day that we had the conversation with her.
Well, I floated the idea past Dapper Dino and TD Lane today and RJ Downard, and we talked a little bit about having a little back channel meeting about how we can divide some of the work.
Okay.
Because there's entirely too much work in tracking down the sources and understanding the sources and presenting an argument that's powerful enough to satisfy us, right?
Yeah. I think an SFT book club thing would be pretty cool. I would definitely be down to do it. I don't know. I think Erica, she said that she was wanting to do it, but I think, didn't she say that she already had something recorded for like the first episode at least?
Yeah, I think she's working on it. So
yeah,
we just have to see where she wants to go. She may want to do something independent. If she does, then I think what we should do is, like, she did a thing on Chromosome 2, and I would like to do another video to fill in the cracks that she missed, basically. So, we could be of resource that way. But, I think we should divide up the work and work really hard on each section and getting the papers and totally, digging in. That's why I never produce any fucking content like that M1 or the microRNA thing that I have ready for Maddox.
Uh-huh.
There's always something more that I want to learn and add. And so I never get around to actually doing it. I think somebody needs to slap me.
I've tried to do that before.
I know, but you can't reach me from where you are.
Don't make me travel to.
You're gonna have to.
Don't make me travel to where you live.
You're gonna have to.
I will steal your book and slap you.
Oh, you'll steal my glyco chemistry book?
Yes, I will.
I'll tell you, if you bike all the way up here, I will give that book to you.
I'll fly up there.
But you got to fucking prove that you bike, man. I want to see like reporters, talking to you along the way.
Just take a picture in like every state.
Yeah.
Well, what are they going to say? Some white dude I've never seen before just came up to see you?
No, I mean,
how are you going to describe me, Mike?
Well, if you biked across the nation, the news CNN would follow you.
No.
It'd be like that Forrest Gump scene where it's just like everyone joins in to bike to Speed's house.
We're not having a Forrest Gump bike scene here. Okay?
That's what I'm thinking about.
It's just like the massive pack of people.
This odyssey to get your glycochemistry book.
Once we go offline, I will make a deal with you regarding that book.
Oh, really? A deal? I hope this isn't some dark shit that I saw on Netflix the other day.
Probably not that dark.
What dark shit is there on Netflix?
Oh, not that dark. No, it wasn't Netflix. I think it was YouTube.
Stuff on Netflix.
I think it was Pornhub. I can't remember.
If Pornhub manages to get sanctioned on Netflix, that'll be an interesting day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like the worst thing on Netflix is like Human Centipede, right?
They have some pretty hardcore horror shit, but I don't know.
Okay, Human Centipede 2 is a fucking masterpiece. Everybody has to watch that movie. That was really an interesting movie. I made myself watch the entire thing, and I kept wanting to run away, but I made myself watch it because, man, it is cool. The way they get into that dude, the bad guy, you actually feel sorry for him because he couldn't staple people together. The staples kept coming out.
Darn.
Oh, yeah, but you got to watch Human Centipede.
I said poor Nazi. He's a Nazi, right? The dude?
Was he? No, I don't think so. Maybe in 1 and 3. 1 and 3 were like, I haven't looked at those. Like 3 was about stapling 500 prisoners together. They made this huge prison centipede. But 2 was like they really got into. The guy was watching Centipede 1, and he was trying to imitate it. And he was like this really screwed up person who you ended up feeling sorry for because he would like whimper, when things didn't work out. And oh man, it was bizarre. But I watch really dark art as a sort of it's like, I don't know. It's like I feel like it's my duty to watch it.
So no one else has to, or
Zombeaver, like Zombeaver. I mean, and Sharknado. I mean, you got to watch all the Sharknados.
Well, those aren't too dark.
No, those aren't dark, but Zombeaver isn't either. But I mean, you owe it to the artist to watch what he did. I think. I don't know. Just my thinking on it.
Did you catch Dapper's The Room reference earlier? Have you seen The Room? You've had to have seen The Room, right?
I probably have, but I can't remember anything about it.
It's kind of like a meme for being the worst movie of all time by Tommy Wiseau. It's pretty good.
Oh, maybe I haven't.
Well, if you haven't, you definitely need to look it up because it's like.
Well, that's what I'll do tonight.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. Probably in there somewhere. I watch so damn much TV that I can't remember it from one year to the next. Like if I watch season 1 of a series, I usually have to refresh myself before I can watch season 2 because so much shit in there. And there's no reason to store too much of what you see in movies anyway. So anyway, I want to play something here.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Basically, Jason Ezard, Faithful, Honest, and True, is he's a fine Christian man from Australia, and he has. Let's see if I can find it here. He has something to say to this atheist, and it was really kind of like it was heartfelt and it was refreshing. Can you hear it?
Get lost, you little toss bag. Get lost, you little wanker. Fuck off. Get fucked. You want to sit here and fucking bring up a position, you little turd. Fucking shit for brains, cockhead.
He's a troll.
Fucking bring up a position, you little wanker. Don't sit there, you little wanker. Don't sit there telling everybody else they're wankers and not bring up a position. You're crapping on about idiotic points. Idiotic, stupid points that mean nothing. Bring up something to back your position. Bring up some evidence. Give us a citation. Anything to back your position that there is no God.
He doesn't have a position.
That's right. He doesn't have a position. That's what he's worked out to be the most annoying that he can possibly be. He don't take any position. It's safe that way because he's seen the way we destroy people when they bring up citations and they bring up this. Wow. So he's too scared. He's too scared to bring up something that we can actually get our teeth into. Bring up a point, mate. Show us how evolution is so real, and there's show us all this evidence for evolution. What convinces you not to believe in a God? Wow. Show us all your evidence. Show us what makes you skeptical. Show us your evidence. Don't.
Anyway, fine, Christian.
Honestly, the word wanker for me just makes me crack up. I understand it's supposed to be like an insult, like in British language, but it's like
calling someone a wanker.
Wanker, yeah.
I think that one's a pretty soft one, even in Australia. But Ian is going to have to answer that for us.
But
I'm pretty sure like wanker is just used as like a term for the bros hanging out.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure like I've seen Jason like try to logic before, and it doesn't go well.
Well, we've seen him try to talk about evolution, right? He was the one that came up with the idea that if we all descended from a single-celled animal or like an amoeba, and the amoeba had 16 billion nucleotides, then why don't we have like 16 trillion nucleotides because we're a lot bigger?
By the way, that reminds me, where did Shadow Dancer fuck off to?
To her Shadow Dancer channel. I think after the Smokey thing, she kind of had her fill of that clan.
She hasn't been active on her channel though.
When she found out that gender mattered to them, I think she fucked off to wherever she.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Yeah, I legitimately do feel kind of bad for her. Like, I don't know.
No, I don't.
I kind of thought wanker meant masturbator.
Yeah, it does.
That's what I thought it meant too.
Does it not?
Yeah, but then I kind of forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that up again, Ian.
Does wanker not mean masturbator? What?
No, I forgot that it meant masturbator. Oh, what happened to Sel? Sel decided to back off from the online presence until his book's done. So,
really interesting.
Yeah, and I think I think for the same reasons, the toxicity of that group. I mean, that group is, you got to admit, since Smokey and Maddox came in, and George Bond and fucking her. I mean, it is becoming more and more toxic. And I think a lot of really good people are going to shy away from it. Otangelo right now is their man of the week. Yeah. But I think Otangelo is going to eventually shy away from it also.
No, the thing is, Otangelo, kind of like Maddox, enjoys the attention. Otangelo, kind of like a lot of people, enjoys the attention like that's given like from debating people and from like discussing these types of things, even if he's just ass ugly wrong on it. Like those types of things.
We do not want George Bond. You fucking keep him over there. We don't want him anywhere near our shores.
Yeah, it seems like all the fucking crazy people are either American or Australian. Does no other country have like crazy people?
I mean, Standing for Truth is Canadian, so.
Oh shit, you're right.
I mean, I had no idea what Trump was going on about with immigration until I met Jason, that George Bond and fucking Jason Ezard, and now I understand why we want to build walls.
The true wall needs to be on like the Pacific Ocean.
I think so.
It's like a Pacific Rim.
Yeah, we should all have walls. All us countries should have big walls. You know what the hell? Not just China. You know, they got a big wall. Doesn't that run right through the middle of China, though? Isn't that kind of a problem?
Yeah, well, it separates like Inner Mongolia from the rest of China.
Yeah, you're right, Ian, that Otangelo is polite. The issue is, like, that happened on Wednesday, is that he is really passive-aggressive.
Oh, he got kind of pissy with R.J. Downard.
He got pissy with me.
Oh, yeah.
Remember I told you what happened?
Replaced it with rust cream.
Yeah, well, if you challenge your ideas.
Otangelo tried to tell me I didn't know biochemistry. I'm like, oh, really now? Okay.
Yeah,
I am really
wanting you really interesting. I feel like Otangelo, he has his script. Like, he literally has his entire script laid out online. And his debates, he literally just reads from his blog. I feel like he would be, like, for someone who's actually, like, you know, if someone put in, like, the work for it, he would probably be a pretty easy one to, like, actually debunk in a debate and just straight up shut down.
The thing is, right, and this applies, like, to logical, plausible, probable as well. If you actually read, like, any biochemistry book, like, in your life in its entirety, you would understand both why your arguments are weak and how to and how to make your arguments a ton better. Like, it is so much, like, your arguments could be so much more nuanced and have so much more depth if you at least tried to understand, like, the complexities that you are proclaiming to understand.
Yeah.
Because when me and Maddox initially, like, conversed, I thought he understood protein folding because he brought up ribosomal pausing, something ribosomal pausing, something I never heard of before.
Right, so it seemed like he knew something in depth.
Yeah, but upon looking into it and actually going back into it, the script, like, didn't work anymore, and it was quite obvious he didn't understand what protein folding was and how that kind of thing works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, the whole ribosomal pausing thing, we know where that came from. That was the David Abel and D'Onofrio paper.
No. Fact, like, I've seen some of Abel's writing, and he's just a smug piece of crap.
Oh, I've got 2 of his books, and I just glanced at them when I first got them, and they look like, oh, this might be worth reading. Well, then I started reading them, and he just, like, it's like a smoke screen of ideas. And P.Z. Myers, I forget what P.Z. Myers called it correctly. He just, he regurgitates a bunch of intelligent sounding crap that doesn't go anywhere at all. It's pretty amazing. It's Trying to find that paper. Printed. It's under printed. D'Onofrio. No, what the hell have I done? Oh well, I may not be able to find it. Trying to find something. Anyway, Ian was asking which video. I think I lost the thread on which video he was asking about.
Yeah, I was wondering what the context was. I missed that.
I think you guys mentioned something about Otangelo maybe, but the exchange with RJ and Immutable was in chat, not on a video. So
yeah, that was in chat, not on a video, and I think the live chat is still there, isn't it?
Yeah. Whenever he called RJ like a waste of space or something.
Yeah.
I
They tried to do something similar with me because I remember how it started actually, because RJ was challenging him on his claim about like nucleotides not being able to is either like nitrogenous base like ribose or ATP not being able to form on the early Earth, and I was like, okay, Otangelo, you're just Otangelo, you're just wrong on that. It's like, I'm not wrong. Like, I have papers to prove it. And I'm like, yeah, you are wrong because I've read papers that state otherwise. And I'm pretty sure the papers you've read, you either haven't read them or you don't understand them. And he's like, oh, well, you don't understand biochemistry. And I'm like, okay then. You say so there, champ.
I didn't see that part.
So the whole thing with James Downer, I took a picture of it. James Downer said, do send your monograph to the scientists and tell us how it goes with Angelo Grasso. And D'Angelo says, James, if I could block you here, I would do so. You're a total waste of time.
Yeah.
Like, dang it, D'Angelo.
Yeah, I think my comment is like shortly after that one.
Mm.
I'm not sure. It's probably still there.
Yeah. Well, I think Speed has all of them downloaded, right? Like
Yep.
all the comments and stuff. So if you want to find it there, it still exists.
Yeah, I have to catch them early, otherwise it only downloads live chat as it's coming out. So
yeah,
if I don't catch it early, I have to try to. You miss the beginning of the chat, but I think I got them all for that stream. So
well, it was your stream, so
Yeah,
I hope so.
I know, but I don't have a reliable producer, Immutable.
Hey, you haven't figured out how to make a co-moderator on this fucking StreamYard thing yet.
Yeah, what the fuck? There's got to be a
How
way
does
to
that
do it.
work? Like, is that a thing you can do?
It must be. There's got people do it. I think maybe you can't do it on StreamYard. I mean, I'm paying these guys every month. Like,
You might need to give me access to your account, like on.
Yeah, that would work.
StreamYard.
Yeah, I can give you the password and shit like that, both of you guys. So,
Well, because it might be that like there's some technical controls like that need to be configured, and I don't know if I could do that, but I might be able to.
yeah, here we go. So here's where this is the source. Can you read that?
Yeah, sort of. Did you link it in the
Oh, I'll put it. Well, I don't have the. I don't actually have the link for it, but you can look it up. I'll put it in here.
But to answer Ian, I think he is pretty polite. I think RJ sort of just like pushed him to wit's end with his source method stuff because creationists are not very friendly towards source methods.
Well, and the point that I was trying to make to Otangelo as well, and I mentioned this like with like as well as a critique to people who argue evolution and other topics, that because we're human and because like we have a finite like ability to source data, there's always the potential that our conclusions are going to be biased.
Yeah.
And we have to be willing to accept that there might be other data out there which contradicts our own position, or that at the very least challenges our conceived notion of what the consensus is. And that's perfectly fine. But it's, like in Angelo's case, it's completely inappropriate to say that something is irreducibly complex when we have examples of how it's not irreducibly complex.
Yeah.
Like the papers that show like phylogenies of ATP and how it evolved, probably.
He seems very unflexible on like any of his positions and stuff.
Well,
he's unwilling to incorporate new data, like completely just unwilling to.
Well, but part of it though is like you've seen where he will say something like where if you change like one amino acid in a residue, the whole protein essentially goes to crap. Which, to me at least, for some proteins it's true. Like for some proteins, you just cannot touch them, and they will, like you touch them and they die.
Yeah.
For a lot of proteins, if you mutate randomly on that protein, except for a few select areas, it won't do anything to the protein at all. Like the least it'll do is it'll change like the structure, like it might distort the structure of an alpha helix temporarily, but it's not going to impair the function of the protein that much.
Yeah, an alpha helix can take a little bit of a beating from mutation before it stops being alpha.
Yeah.
And beta sheets, I think, a little bit more. There's a few cases where you can screw up an alpha, but yeah, you can do a lot to a protein. And the other amazing thing is that the domains, like a lot of the proteins, it was kind of funny. Otangelo today was showing videos of these proteins fitting together. And the whole time I'm thinking, if they knew how loose some of those fits are not very precise. Some proteins like, what is it? The thing that helps fold proteins after they're produced.
Like, begins with the CH.
Chaperone proteins.
Chaperones, yes.
Yeah.
Those things are very, very general, some of them, especially the heat shock one. It's basically a big bag. And almost anything can fit in there. And there's just a whole lot of wiggle room for mutations. And that wiggle room is what Kimura was hitting on when he was talking about neutral mutations being responsible or the driving force behind evolution. That rather it wasn't all selection until, well, it isn't selection until it becomes selection, basically. When the thing actually ends up being deployed as a useful path, it is selected then. But anyway, that was the whole point. So, but you see this paper here, the Anti-Shine Delgarno's translational pausing.
Mm-hmm.
Now that is in, they found that like in 1983, I think, in Escherichia. Is that how you pronounce it? Coli?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And they found it in bacteria. And now I think they found some evidence that it was also in some eukaryotic cells. But this ribosomal pausing is not a big deal. I mean, it's not like a mainstream deal. And I found it in Lewin's Genes 12. Mm-hmm. They mentioned it. So, I mean, it's old enough to be in the textbooks. And these guys have just gone nuts about it, like D'Onofrio and Abel. The required functional sequence. They're talking about multi-layered prescriptive requirements. So that's kind of their big thing. They got that from translational pausing. And it's exactly the same thing as Otangelo's entire spiel today. It's complicated, therefore it had to be intelligently designed. And the truth of the matter is just the opposite of that. Intelligent design leads to simplicity.
Well, and the thing is, too, is like, I don't know if any of you guys have listened to like any part of that Origin of Life series I referenced.
I listened to the first one.
Yeah, like if you start getting into like some of the specifics of that kind of stuff, like just basic chemical reactions and the chaotic dynamics that can occur there, it's insane. Like very chemical systems like can lead to rather chaotic behavior. But they're very eloquent. I mean, it's just one of these things where it's like, you know, this oversimplistic idea of like, oh, it has to be this or it has to be that.
Right.
It's like, no, not at all. I mean, look at like lipid diversity, for instance. I mean, part of it is that in eukaryotes, like we use a very common like base lipid for the structure, but what makes it so diverse is that you can add like other lipids and other polyethers to that to make it more diverse and more structurally like viable. And those types of things prebiotically occur under very specific reactions. So I mean, it's like it's not a mystery how some of these reactions occur. Like some of them are very well understood.
These guys did some really good work here, or at least they copied some really good work from somewhere. And then they go ahead and they start, making their case linked to machine language. You can just see Maddox's gears turning. Dual function protein prescription analysis. And then they go on to multi-threading, operating systems, independent decodings. So, I mean, they keep building on this complexity theme. Multi-dimensional algorithmic approach, which humans are barely capable of. And then that's pretty long paper. Where the hell is their finale? More research is needed to determine the higher level of fidelity. So, it's a reasonable paper, and I think they got published. David Abel got a couple things published that ended up, I think, getting one editor fired.
Probably. I mean, it's just...
He was going off on evolutionists. His papers, so... Anyway.
Ian asks what all those videos are that have no content, like the live streams that you never actually stream and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Those are streams that I forgot to delete. Like during the week, we get together and we start talking, and we never decide to go live with it because it would probably be a disaster if we did. So I got to take them down. So that's why they don't have content. So, but they're like teaser
right now.
They're teaser trailers.
You have Ron V. Paul debate.
One video we talked to.
What's that?
The one off-air hangout we did, we might publish, but we got to edit some of that out.
Yeah. I've got a few of them that I downloaded, and then if I don't download within 7 days on StreamYard, well, now they extended that to 14 days with the new version. We might have lost a few of them, but I'm pretty sure I downloaded the ones that we did one the other night. You mean the one we did the other night where we were talking about reality and that one?
Yeah, y'all got pretty deep into like philosophy and shit.
Yeah, I believe I downloaded that right after we got off the stream.
Nice.
I don't know. We've done about 2-hour streams occasionally, I think, but we pretty much burn out after this. My tired old man brain just kind of can't take it.
We haven't gotten to the level of Maddox endurance yet.
Yeah, fucking 11-hour stream. What in the hell is wrong? Why do they do that? But it's really interesting to spot around and listen to them when they get tired. Yeah, because the defenses come down and the right wing comes flying out, and the fucking tinfoil hat COVID bullshit comes out and all the other shit.
The thing is, too, is it's like they act as if though. Like, nobody within their personal life or somebody like that will ever hear what they say. And it's like, some of the stuff you guys say seems both, like, very personal and also, like, at times just, like, kind of very, like, demeaning in terms of, like, general interaction. Like, I hope you don't tell, like, some of the atheists that you interact with, like, some of the things you say on the internet.
Yeah.
Because saying, like, certain things, like, oh, like, if I were an atheist, like, I would stone him, like, or I would do, like, such and such and such. It's like, I don't know where you live, but where I'm from, like, that'll get you punched in the throat.
Okay, atheists? Really? That's pretty funny.
Like, certain, offensive, there are some places like that. Florida's not one of them, luckily. But there are some places like where, like making those kind of threats, yeah, you're going to get knocked out.
Vesta made a comment about simplicity. Vesta, that is my proof that the spaghetti code monster designed life. Basically, it's along those. Because when I was looking at the mTOR pathway, which I have as my logo for my regular email, that pathway is so fucked up. If any programmer turned in anything near that, you would fire him immediately. It's a ball of mud.
The thing is, right? Biological systems don't do a bad job at programming, but God, are they weird? Like in the way they want to embed functions for certain things.
Like the mTOR pathway turns on a protein, which turns off another protein, which turns on another protein, which turns off another protein. And then it comes around and it fucking does something finally in the nucleus, which is produce a protein that turns on another fucking protein, which turns off another protein. And it's like, I'm like, fuck you.
That kind of makes sense, though, right? I mean, it's making sure everything is working in synchronicity. It's doing...
Hey, Otangelo.
Like, it's doing it for a reason or something.
Yes, it's a mess, Otangelo.
You know, I agree with that.
So, Otangelo, what was the logic design like for that kind of protein, hey?
Yeah, your God doesn't know how to program for shit. I mean, I would never hire that guy in a project.
What would you do if they turned that in as their final draft for the protein function?
Oh, my God. The guy would be down the road. But actually, code ends up that way because you keep slinging mud at this ball. And eventually you end up with this mud ball that you give to the customer. You know, like, here, I hope this fucking shit works. Because pray that it works, because we don't know how the hell we have no idea how it works by the time we're done with it. So, but that's what happens. The more programmers you have on a project, the crazier that shit gets. Especially if you have like three or four really brilliant creative programmers, you really are in trouble.
I really would love for Otangelo like to source once where anybody in Origin of Life cites that the goal of Origin of Life is to create life in a laboratory. I know there are some people who state that. Yeah, they do. They think that. They think we're gonna put in a puddle of pudding into a beaker with all the right ingredients and wait for it to wait for something to crawl out of it. I mean, it's like I think they got educated watching 1950s science fiction movies. The Blob. Do we want to invite Otangelo onto the stream? Oh no, we don't have the bandwidth, Otangelo.
Well, I was about to say, if you'll do that, then I'm probably gonna have to go because I don't think I have too much longer to stay on.
If you do that, it'll be you and Otangelo and Immutable. If you want to do it, I mean, I could just shut the sound off and go watch The Room.
You know, Walker, if I'm going to suffer through this, you got to suffer too.
Maybe another night. It's just getting late.
Otangelo,
if you're of age, I'll buy you a drink.
I love you, man, but you really take a lot of brain energy, and particularly like the next time you come on this stream, I'm gonna have you put up the screens and the links instead of me, because that's like a full-time job, just keeping up with your links.
By the way, Otangelo, I don't mind like discussing things with you, and maybe it's just that like you like going with your script because that's the thing you're used to. It makes sense, but I prefer you not. Like I like having genuine conversations with people.
Yeah, let's drill into one detail. Let's find one detail, and we'll do it during the day, Otangelo, when we all have some bandwidth. Like this, we're just screwing around tonight.
Yeah.
We will give you some time, and we'll try to like. I really like the stuff you did today on the actin filaments and all of that, and I would like to spend some time on that and drill into that in some detail. That would be kind of cool. So
yeah, it'd be fun like to go on to one detail, like and hone on that particularly, without having like a million other rabbit holes like open up simultaneously.
Yeah, not yelp off.
Because
happy trails, you know.
There's times like where it seems like, okay, that might actually be a good argument, but it's annoying in the sense that like if it were a good argument, right? Like if you were an interlocutor ever were to concede that, we wouldn't get a chance because you don't stick on it long enough to really see that through like to its maturation.
Yeah. I want to try something. I just want to try something at the end of this, and it's probably gonna end up getting edited out. But
oh my god, YouTube Studio is a nightmare to edit in.
Well, no, they automatically edit out copyrighted stuff for you, I think.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I didn't like. Okay, so I had like an end frame for my last video because if you notice, the audio starts fading out, and I had like it was like a Looney Tunes end frame, but it was me instead of like Porky the Pig or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, not like actually me, but it was my avatar. And, you know, it was like, It said like, that's all, folks, and then there's like a little in slide that basically said, hey, check out the rest of this video on Speed of Sound's channel. And for some reason that just didn't upload right. I don't think it actually what's it called? Well, I guess uploaded whenever I was actually like downloading the video. Exported. Yeah, I don't think it exported properly. But I just didn't see it because I didn't want to watch 2 hours of video all the way through before I watched it again.
Right.
But I couldn't even fix it. Like I couldn't even just put in like 2 simple slides essentially through YouTube Studio. It was so annoying.
Yeah, well, iMovie's a little bit. I actually learned how to edit pretty well with iMovie. I just want to try this out, see if I get a copyright strike on this thing, and I'm not sure if it will. But for our paper trails, if we ever do a video, like if we do one video and do a paper, so I thought this would be a nice theme song.
Happy trails to you. Until we meet again, happy trail.
Anyway, when I was 4 years old, my brother died in a car accident. When I was 2 years old, and he was 9, and he wanted my dad to get a TV, and my dad didn't, simple farmer, he didn't believe he was going to get a TV. Well, he felt so bad about that he did get us a TV. So when I was 4 years old, I grew up watching Roy Rogers, and I still remember Roy Rogers and Hopalong Cassidy. And that was it. And I remember this big brown couch we had, and I just couldn't wait till this shit come on TV, and Lone Ranger. So anyway, I grew up to this stuff. It's a wonder it's no wonder I became an alcoholic.
That sounds almost like an outro to me more than like an intro.
Yeah, that would be an outro, but I don't know. I just thought for paper trails, it just kind of made sense, but I want to see if they copyright strike that. Oh, and how in the hell do some people get by with putting really good music? Like there was some the rock band that we found the other day. It wasn't. I think it was a cover.
Like Meatloaf or whatever. Meatloaf?
No, it was another one. But I would like to use like ICP, and there's a couple other songs I would like to do that really are upbeat. And when you start a video with music, it always makes me happier, right?
I'm sorry, did you just describe ICP as being upbeat?
Well, yeah, it is.
Some of their songs are, but some of it is like, okay, I don't know who they are trying to appeal to at this one, but okay.
Well, I like the one, I got shot. The murder was heinous. The bullet went in through my mouth, came out my anus. I mean, that was a really upbeat song when you really listen to it.
I don't know.
I really like that one.
The upbeat thing they have is like Down with the Clown. And even that's kind of...
Well, then there's that little Jimmy got him. That one, with the little boy, and the monster comes in and gets him under the bed and kills him. I think
the only thing I know about
the
only line I know from Insane Clown Posse is like fire, water, air, and dirt, magnets. How the fuck do they work?
That is like one of the most well known.
Yeah,
that is a good one. That was one of their later albums.
That's the extent of my knowledge of juggalos. Or is it juggalos or gigolos?
Juggalos.
Yeah. One of them's a prostitute, and the other one's the Insane Clown Posse fandom, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Those are kind of a weird, like, little fandom thing of their own.
Yeah,
it's a very bizarre little community.
Yeah. Insane Clown, man. The Great Milenko is like the greatest album ever made. One of the greatest albums ever made. It's just a masterpiece. It's a rock opera. You have to listen to it from the very beginning.
A rock opera.
Yeah, it's a rock. Well, like fucking
Boulevard or not Boulevard.
Pink Floyd did a rock opera with The Wall.
Yeah. American Idiot's technically a rock opera as well.
Yes, that one too.
Okay.
American Idiots is great.
That alternative rock.
Well, yeah, but like so if you listen to the album, like all the way through, it's telling a story.
Right, it weaves together.
So that's the point of rock opera. Like that's what a rock opera is.
Right, and so does a Great Milenko.
Don't all albums kind of do that?
No, not all albums. There are some like The Wall, Pink Floyd, The Wall. I mean, that was an incredible. If you listen to the whole thing from beginning to end, it has an impact. Well, I was pretty stoned on mushrooms when I listened to it. The first I watched the movie.
Great way to have an introduction to a song. Get stoned off your ass.
Well, I feel like that's pretty like true to Pink Floyd.
That's kind of like what Pink Floyd is known for. It's like, people listen to our music while being stoned.
While being really stoned, yeah. Yep, them were the days.
You don't know.
God, I miss the 60s and the 70s. Fuck. Not the 70s, the 60s.
I'm surprised like we didn't steal like ayahuasca traditions before we developed LSD.
Yeah. Well, you know, the Navy is the one that started the whole LSD thing. You know that, right?
Really? I mean, wasn't it a scientist somewhere who figured that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, he figured it out at first, but nobody knew about it. So the Navy, in their infinite wisdom, wanted to do tests to find out if they could use it as a weapon. So what they did is they got a bunch of college students and they paid them $5 or $10 to come in, lay on a table, and get stoned off their ass on LSD. That's
as
all
a weapon.
And all these college students came out of the test and they said, "Holy shit, I got to get me some more of that." And that was how the whole LSD thing infested the American public.
What was that like big bus ride that had
the electric Kool-Aid acid trip?
Yeah,
well, it was like the author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was.
Yes, him.
Yes, that guy.
No, let's see. The book is okay. Electric Acid Kool-Aid Test is by Tom Wolfe, I think, or something. But it was about that whole bus trip. And what's his name? Kevin Kesey wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and he got $70,000 for it. So he went down to Southern California, and he pretty much started the whole psychedelic hippie movement because he bought this
Wasn't it Tom Wolfe?
What's that?
The Merry Pranksters. That's what I was thinking of.
The Merry Pranksters, right.
Yeah.
And there's a documentary on that. That bus is still sitting out in the woods, and they went and filmed it. It's all rusted out, and it's fucking awesome. They went all over the country. But that is a really readable book. If you ever get if you want some really entertaining.
I've read the book.
Oh, you have? Cool. It's an awesome book, ain't it?
It's a weird fucking book.
It's an awesome book, but it's real. I was in San Francisco as a 13-year-old while that was happening. I was like maybe 70 miles north of where all that shit was going down. So that's pretty cool.
The thing is, like, what's the most stunning thing? Like, once you take a moment, like, to really sit back, like, and consider all the things happening in that book.
Yeah.
So one thing, and I have, like, I know a friend who's done LSD before. She does it quite consistently, honestly. But LSD is something that once you take it, like, or if you take it frequently, you get you gain resistance to it like fairly quickly, and so you have to have quite a lot of the damn shit to like really consistently like maintain a high on it.
Oh, you can't maintain a high on LSD if you build tolerance to it real rapidly.
Well, that's the issue, though. Like,
well, the other thing is you don't want to do that. LSD isn't the kind of thing where you're going to do it the next day. If you have had a sufficient dose, you're good for a few days or a week. I mean, it's not the kind of thing you can do like a drug. It just takes too much out of you. And besides, you don't have any desire to do it again you kind of come down on this slow slide. And then after about a week, you'll think, okay, I want to do it again now. But it's not that kind of thing that you can become addicted to.
Yeah.
It takes too much out of you. The very best thing is to do it like in the early evening or maybe around 9 o'clock, and then go through the night and then watch the sunrise. And the entire world becomes a jewel. And like you end up in this slide down, which is just like the greatest ride. God, I shouldn't be talking about this. There might be kids listening.
Are you talking about this?
Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do
drugs. Times, close your ears.
How do you know?
Don't ever do mushrooms. Don't ever do LSD. It's not good. It's horrible. It'll be the most horrifying thing that ever happened to you.
How are you so intimately related to this topic, Michael? Tell us.
LSD, I've done it about 200 times. And anyway, I started reading about it when I was 13.
Fuck you all.
Okay, me and my friends started reading about it when we were 13 years old, and we didn't actually do it until we were 19 years old because, it wasn't available in northern Minnesota. And so we knew a fuck ton about it before we did it. We'd read all the, the Huxley books, and, the whole Buddhist thing was already with us. And then these rednecks came, and like I had this redneck friend, and he said, yeah, I did some LSD the other night. And I said, yeah, Rodney, fuck you. You did not. And then he said,
oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Vesta for making that. How about the MLB pitcher who pitched a no-hitter on LSD?
Exactly. Oh, here's the cool thing. I used to drive these little mini trains. Like it was like a big tractor that you set down on a rail, and you'd pull 12 full ore cars, each one weighing, I don't know, fucking thousands of tons, right? So like you had to load them, and you had to go through this pocket, and you had to drive really evenly and slowly in order to get a really good load of taconite pellets. When I was ripped on acid, my fucking loads were so good that the foreman would come and compliment me on how good I was doing that night. And I'd be looking at him, and it'd be like, his face would be like all distorted, and I'm like stoned out of my mind.
So are you telling me you released a lot of loads while on LSD?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I could go on, but man, by the time we actually did it, we knew about it. And anyway, these rednecks came, and Rodney was telling me that he did it, and I didn't believe him. But then he said he got stuck in his friend's lawn because there was like a little dip in the lawn, and he thought he was in a giant river canyon. And I'm like, holy shit! I knew right then that he had really taken LSD. And the next week he got us some, and that was the beginning of a long odyssey in my life. But nobody should do LSD, kids. You should know that. No, I'll tell you, psychedelics, don't fucking stress out over that. But meth and cocaine are the most evil motherfucking chemicals on the planet. If you even go near that shit, it'll be the last best time that you ever have in your life. Don't ever fucking mess with that shit. It's almost like stepping off a cliff in your life.
That will basically fucking kill you.
It will. If you're lucky, it'll kill you. If you're not lucky, you'll get addicted to that shit, and it is the worst fucking life. I mean, you can waste years just chewing on your gums and bleeding and just fucking being a mess. It just isn't worth it. I mean, it makes you feel so good the first time, but that's the last time you'll ever feel that good, and you'll be chasing that high for the rest of your life. And it is just the absolute worst shit ever that you can do. But mushroom?
Well, next time you're on your deathbed, ask for meth.
No, I'm going to ask for some fucking mushrooms. I mean, if I get terminal disease, I will go out stoned on mushrooms. I'm pretty sure. Count on that.
I'll make sure to quote you on that whenever the time comes.
Okay.
They make sure you're pretty stoned out of your damn mind when you're about to go under.
Yeah.
They make sure you're comfortable. They will give you more morphine and codeine than you need.
Oh shit! You mixed acid, ecstasy, and Benadryl. Wow. Well,
yeah. I've only ever tried Benadryl because I have pretty severe allergies.
Yes. Oh, where the hell is it? Yeah, boomer. I am the boomer.
By the way, not recommending this to anybody. Drugs can be mixed, and it will give versatile effects.
Yeah, but drug mixing like LSD, you kind of want to stay pure with that. If you're drunk and you take LSD, you sober right up, but you don't feel so good. So it's really good to be really healthy and not mix shit, especially fucking Benadryl. Anyway, the Vesta, these two are Milliweenies, and I'm a boomer.
So, Milliweenies. Yeah. Well, I won't even actually tell you. I think technically I'm like the top end of Gen Z because doesn't Gen Z start at like 1996 or 97 or something?
Yeah, you're all fucking Milliweenies to me.
Milliweenies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh no, cocaine is horrible. Don't fuck with that shit. Oh, really? So it doesn't affect you? Well, that's good. You're lucky, because if it affected you, it would fuck you. It's like, God, that I can't tell you how bad that shit is, and you become addicted to it so easily that it just doesn't let you go, and then it just makes you sick almost all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And cocaine, like, it has about a 15-minute effect, so you have to keep using it, and you get so goddamn sick, and then you look back on it and like, it's like, why did I do that to myself? It was the worst. I never felt so bad in my life as I have on some of those uppers. I mean, God, they make you sick after a while, because you keep having to double the dose, and you never quite get high as you were the first time, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Ugh, God, just the thought of that shit just makes my skin crawl.
Well, thank you, Ian. The years get more fun as you get older.
They
I feel
do.
like now I need to buy LSD, go to the area where that electrofolate acid trip thing is residing, go into it, and just, for old time's sake, do LSD.
For old time's sake.
We boomers are not recommending that you milliweenies do drugs, just to be clear.
We have described many pleasant experiences while on drugs, but by no means indulge in drug taking.
Do not do that. It's just way the fuck too much fun.
Stay away, kids.
Do not do psychedelics. They're too
Stay
much
away,
fun.
kids. Only do drugs with a friend.
Yeah. Anyway.
Remember, sharing is caring.
Huh?
Remember, sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. And we're looking at what we're talking about this. We're looking at Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, the purest, holiest of all, holiest people. I mean, they were so straight that we threw up every time we looked at them.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just absolutely perfect. But this lady, Dale Evans, she was smart. She signed a contract when they thought she signed a contract to get royalties on every single mention of them or anything having to do with them for the rest of her life. In fact, her family right now is probably going to give me a copyright strike if I don't pay them. And she made millions and millions of dollars. When they signed that contract, they thought, well, it'll cost us a couple $100 to give her what she wants.
So
she made millions.
That's like George Lucas.
Okay, so are you telling me she's like the female version of logical, plausible, probable?
A savvy businesswoman.
Oh, he's a savvy businessman. What?
Well, and also he wants to sue you over the most menial things in the world.
Oh no, she's the female version of the opposite of his business acumen. I mean, she knew what the hell she was doing. Roy, on the other hand, didn't luck out, so he thought, what the hell, like fuck, he fucked up. Anyway, God, those I tried watching those shows were so bad. Oh my God, they do not hold up. They're so horrible. Roy rides up on Trigger and shoots some bad guy and sings. I don't know. It's just horrible.
Yeah. Hey, well, I don't know if y'all are planning on going too much longer, but I do think I need to head out.
Yeah, we need to head out. But has anybody watched Once Upon a Time in the West? It's a spaghetti western.
No.
Oh my God, it's the most. It's actually considered one of the. It's in the top, I don't know, 100 movies of all times.
Mm-hmm.
It was done by the guy that did The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and all that stuff. And anyway, there's an opening scene with there's an opening scene. Henry Fonda's in it, and Bronson, and it's really good. There's an opening scene with 20 minutes with no dialogue, and there's a dude in there who, the night that he shot the opening scene, he went to his motel, and he was still fully dressed in the costume. And there were some people, he was on like the third floor of his hotel or motel. And there were some people that he worked with on like the first or second floor. And they saw his body go by. He jumped to his death after he did the movie. And Sergio Leone or whatever, the guy that did the spaghetti westerns, when they were taking this guy to the hospital where he died, he was only worried about that costume because that costume was in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Really an interesting story, but anyway, but it really is a great movie. It's like an opera. It's a Western opera. So anyway,
Is it a
movie
musical?
trivia with Mike?
what's that?
Is it a musical?
Movie trivia with Mike.
It is not a musical. It's just a really long, drawn out, like 3-hour intense Western that is very, very different than any Western you've ever watched. It's really good.
Honestly, just watch Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
It's much better than Butch and the Sundance Kid. So
I don't know. It's a pretty damn good movie.
that is a good movie. But Once Upon a Time in the West is probably the all-time best Western ever made. So I don't know. It's a little slow in the beginning. No dialogue for 20 minutes. But it heats up. Anyway, guys. Okay, let's call it. Sergio Leone. He's the guy that did it. And I can't. I am past my prime today, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me, Ian. I recalled LVP brag about how rich he was. Sounded like an empty boast.
Yeah, Jungle Dragon had to buy him a computer the other day.
So, what we've done and what we've come to the conclusion to, and by the way, if you actually look up his name, it's not that hard to find.
Yeah.
Like on the interwebs, you can see that he's dabbled in a few business endeavors before. He claims to have made like millions of dollars on it, which might be true, might not be true. Let you be the judge of that. But it seems kind of interesting that some of his business endeavors appear to have kind of tanked, more or less.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to fault him on anything other than it's just really shitty ideas.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll shame him on him being just
An ass.
a boastful little prick.
Yeah,
Well, if you
that's
listen to
fair.
some of his past interviews, you'll find out that the story he gives us about his conversion to Christianity is not exactly accurate.
Well, and what you'll find out is that the iteration that the one that he gives in the interview is actually more accurate, or probably is more accurate than the ones he gives in his channel. Because on his channel alone, there's like 2 to 3 different conversion stories he's given us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conversion stories, I don't know. I'm pretty skeptical of all of them. Anyway, guys, I'm going to start babbling here.
More videos, please, from Ian Chen. Yep.
Okay.
I will try my best. I think I'm going to start on a new video because I'm waiting for some researchers to get back to me about the elephant stuff. So I just need something to work on in the interim that I don't care as much about.
Yep.
So
Okay.
probably do that.
Okay, yeah, we gotta try to work on some good content that's a little bit educational too. I would really like that.
I thought we had a pretty good breakdown of all the fraudulent shit that was going on with Raw Matt's paper earlier. And then sort of devolved into this.
Yeah, we devolve.
That's okay.
We evolve, just like
Hey, what else do you expect at like midnight?
We proved genetic entropy. We're devolving. Okay, I'm gonna go see some cats and see about some TV.
Okay.
Later, guys.
All right. Night all.
See y'all. Goodbye, Vash. Ian. Good night.
Goodbye.